Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
What if in the not too distant future,
next Sunday, AD?
what if they printed advertisements directly onto your food, and if you wanted without the ads, you had to pay for better food that didn't have spray paint on it?
I think you should shut your mouth so that doesn't happen. Because how much put it out there?
Yeah, how much extra are we talking about?
Like, okay, you can have cheeseburger.
It's like Hulu Premium where you don't get the ads.
You get your burger standard, which has it has a spray paint ad on the outside of it for batteries.
I mean, is it food safe spray paint?
Yeah,
it's food safe.
Freddy's using
it meets the federal government's required for labeling food directly.
Right, it's safe enough.
Right, and now you do one good thing: you eliminate packaging entirely.
Well, yeah, maybe this is where we're headed.
No,
so you just have loose food out in the world in stores?
Just loose food with spray paint on it.
Jesus, Freddy.
Well, but then you going like no packaging.
You can sign up for Food Plus,
and you get a bag,
which is just exactly what you always had.
Food Plus.
Food Plus.
It's like, well, la-di-da.
Does it start off
Food Plus?
Each place does it their own way, but eventually we're just going to have a service that bundles them.
Yeah, you're going to end up with a bundler.
Wendy's, McDonald's.
We take the standard food tiered food that you've become accustomed to with the paints you already enjoy.
Oh, so it's going to bundle food that you don't even use, but it's part of the package.
That's right.
You're like, man, damn it, I love Wendy's and McDonald's, but yeah, you know where I'm going.
What's this little baggie of Cheerios? I don't have a baby.
How dare they put Kashi Goldie? No, thank you.
Did the Food Plus box arrive yet? It says on the app that it's going to be here in 47 minutes. I can't wait to see what's inside. 47 minutes later, it's just all Nutter Butters. Just crumbled, broken, loose Nutter Butters compacted into a cube and spray painted with the word nut cookie on it.
Well, you signed up for Food Plus to save money because you didn't want all these other things, but all the food groups broke into their own subscriptions, so you had to get them all.
You do. Otherwise, you're going to end up malnourished.
Yeah, so you're paying just as much as you did before. That's how they get you.
You're going to get scurvy.
Yeah.
If you don't upgrade.
This is when I'm growing a victory garden.
Yeah. Remember, vegetables used to be part of the Food Plus program, but then they went through to their own subscription service. Yeah.
Now with vegetables again. Food standard. Just sign this, and you can have vegetables with your food standard again. And like, what is it? Well, it's 1,200 pages long, is what it is.
But then vegetables go, and then
we haven't got Broccoli Rob in the UK version yet.
Yeah,
we're still waiting on that.
And there's Vegetables Max, and there's Vegetables Go.
Yeah,
so confusing.
Well, and you have to if you can't get Vegetables Max if you still have Vegetables Go, but you don't know how to get rid of Vegetables Go. So you're like, try Vegetables Go or Vegetables Now. I just want Vegetables Max.
Yeah. Well, there's things.
Which one has Kolchak?
Well, it's fucked up because there's some vegetables you can't get on Vegetables Max, but it's on Vegetables Go.
Yeah, right.
I mean, then
you
there's
gotta have them all
those foods from your childhood. You got to get Food Boomerang, so that you can have Dino Nuggets again and Teddy Grahams.
Ecto Cooler,
yeah.
I mean, I could just go to the grocery store and kill two birds with one stone, but
You know, but then you're going to be too hungry on just two birds.
2 birds and a stone.
Yeah. Maybe kill 3 birds. You're a big eater.
Oh, okay. I could save some for later.
That's what stores are now. You just go and you have to.
It's called a bird rock throw. It's only throwing rocks at birds. That's the meat department is above you. That's how they address this, how to save space, and it's all pigeons.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was like a dangerous job to be in charge of the bird pen that people throw rocks at.
The rocks are unlimited, though.
It's a typical entry level job for a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
rock gatherer.
Because they get pelted with the rocks pretty frequently.
Well, they're all messed up. Yeah. Anyone who has that, you can spot people who had that job, and it's never the rich kid's son. Rich kid's son, the rich man's son.
That guy works at 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, look at him. I think he's from the meat department at Kroger. Because let's be honest, Kroger will still be there.
Yeah.
But the meat department is above you. And there's always some lady that keeps sending these dead birds back to that poor kid, and she's like, it's not thick enough. It's too thin. It's too thick. And he's just winging, trying to get birds for her because she can't hit them herself.
No,
because she's a
job,
very old 50.
He's a nice kid, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome to Night of the Living podcast.
Oh yeah. Whoops.
Were you guys listening to that?
Come on, Amy. People don't listen to our show for reviews or
No, I'm not trying to
commentary.
Get us there.
We're dumb.
I just didn't know where else that could have gone.
Okay.
And I was just like, I think it's good.
It's good. I think it's done. Put it to bed.
Yeah.
My name's Amy.
My name is.
That's Freddy.
My name is.
Say hi, Freddy.
My name is.
That's an Eminem song, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make sure that I'm not going crazy yet.
Andy, you're not going crazy yet.
Although there is an Eminem song called "I Think My Dad's Going Crazy."
Yeah.
Oh, am I dead?
Mm-hmm. And then finally we have Kelley.
Hey.
Hey there.
I don't have an Eminem lyric to throw around.
You can have mine.
You're Amy.
I am Amy.
You can say, my name is.
Yeah, you can have it.
We actually all hung out as
you don't want it. You regifted
it. We had a hangout.
Yeah, we christened your new fence in a backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We did as a group.
Yeah.
We had a fence warming party wherein we made the fence feel warm and safe.
We all had all the dogs there.
Yep.
It was
Freddy
great.
bought champagne to commemorate the.
I spared no expense.
We brought
Styrofoam
apple
cups
piss
and $8 champagne. Sparkling wine, sorry.
We tried to play a game, but it was
apple
confusing.
piss.
We were going to try to play Apple Piss Piss. We did okay for like 5 minutes.
I don't think you're supposed to read all the answers as the judge. I think just the 2 that you decide.
What was the real name of the game?
Poison to pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison. Thank you.
It was like a would you rather Cards Against Humanity kind of thing.
Would you rather?
And
yes.
we had some champagne and some other drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all not ready to play. But the reason we're calling it Apple Piss Piss is because that's what Andy was unsure of the name and just said, that game you have?
Salon de Jean?
Apple Piss Piss.
Piss Piss.
Okay, do you want to hear my train of thought of why I became
would
Apple
love.
Piss Piss?
I would love to know
I
that.
imagine it has something to do with apples to apples.
Yeah, you know that game Apples to Oranges?
Apples to apples.
Apples to apples, yes.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Oh my lord.
Yeah, that was
to
Apples to Oranges. Okay. Well,
You know that band Boys to Apples?
I thought it was like something like Apples to Apples. And I remember Alise texting us, hey, do you guys want us to bring that game that begins with a P?
Yeah.
I mean, she said the actual name, but I couldn't remember it.
Well, now it's forever called Apple Piss Piss.
Yeah. I just knew it began with a P, and I couldn't think of what it was called.
It's like piss. Piss.
So
And that's the first P word that comes to mind.
I combined the 2 to Apples Piss Piss.
Piss.
It's a great name.
It's undrinkable.
It will not.
Piss under the bearded barley.
under Billy Barty.
Under Billy Barty.
Very silly.
Yeah, but it was a lovely time by the fire.
By the fire.
It was lovely.
With the doggos.
I'm still a little relaxed from that.
It was a wonderful.
But it was just nice to see everybody again.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I haven't seen Kelley and Alise in person. Well, we haven't hung out in a while. I saw you guys because I dropped off chili for you guys
Right.
a couple months ago.
We have not.
But we haven't hung out
since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Mikey
got to
D was
give
there?
I got to give Amy's mom a hug because we're both fully vaccinated.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're max vax.
You're max vaxxed.
You're vax max beyond Thunderdome.
Freddie just got his second shot yesterday.
Yeah.
I get my second one tomorrow.
So you guys are a
Exciting.
couple of weeks away from a hug from Andy.
I can't wait.
Elise gets hers Thursday.
I'm going to crush the air out of most people probably because I just miss them. I miss hugging.
It's like COVID didn't get me, but the post-COVID hugs got me.
Rocks.
He's going to crush your ribs until they pierce your lungs.
Yeah.
And then you'll die. But it will have been
pierce
worth
your
it.
Morgans.
Yeah.
You're going to blast through both of them. All your air and blood will become a frothy spray.
But we're going to keep your skeleton afterwards because of the way it looks. It's like a sculpture.
It's pretty cool. It's going to be part of the new patio setup.
Yeah.
And we're going to call it the Andy Hung Memorial Patio setup.
We're going to put some lights on it. Maybe put like a little mosquito repellent.
Yeah, kind of like
Hang one of those little zappers on you.
like the art from the opening credit sequence to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hope
Look at
birds
that.
perch on me.
But with a Mickey hat on top.
Oh, definitely Mickey
Yes.
hat.
Mickey hat. Oh, it'll be
Just,
so great.
Can you cut the top of my skull off and fashion it into like a bird bath?
Oh, that's
Sure, if that's what
brilliant.
you want.
That is brilliant.
We'll scoop your brains out,
Yeah.
then make it
Scoopy, scoopy,
watertight.
Tonight on a most horrifying episode of Trading Spaces. It's Halloween. We're celebrating Halloween at Trading Spaces. Will one neighbor lose his head?
Oh, that's good. Oh.
I want to put a batatorium in the child's bedroom.
So anyway, what else is up?
Batatorium's an auditorium for bats.
I got you. They do make.
Oh,
those.
should we talk about local news and the monkeys that got out of
What is
got loose?
There's like no update on the fucking monkeys. Okay, so
I don't believe they exist.
what's the story?
Some monkeys escaped a private collection.
Yeah. And like there's some video of monkeys in a tree in the Price Hill neighborhood of Cincinnati.
I saw a monkey once in Northbrook.
Just like hanging out?
Well, Colin and I, and this is why this can happen. Colin and I were driving one night through the fucking neighborhood, and we both saw this creature cross the road in front of us. And to me, it looked exactly like a monkey. It had very long front
Arms.
limbs and then short back ones. It had it looked like a monkey.
Yeah.
And then Colin, but it was dark. And then Colin says, "Oh my God, was that a monkey?" And so to me, it's like, that's probably a monkey.
Wow.
So you just took his word as gospel?
Well, but if he sees the exact, I mean, if he had said, "Was that a raccoon?" then I might be like, that's probably not a raccoon or a monkey.
Right.
But like for me to see something and think monkey and then for him to say monkey, you know what I mean?
that is some solid evidence.
It's a more fun answer than raccoon.
Right.
Well, it wasn't a raccoon. It was a monkey. And I'm pretty like, why would we both think monkey if it was a raccoon? They don't look anything alike.
Some people say raccoons taste better pickled.
But weren't these monkeys described as 5 foot tall or something like that?
One of the local news was reporting somebody saying that the monkey was at least 5 foot tall or more.
I'm sure that's an overestimation. That's
like,
not correct.
There's no way. I've never. Is there? Did anybody ever find out if there's a monkey species that gets that tall?
That could get. That's like the tallest. I think a mandrill.
Yeah, it can get to 5 feet. Are they? They're
I
real
looked it up the other
skinny,
night.
right? Those are those the real
I
skinny
don't remember,
ones?
honey. This was a stray Wikipedia search that I did for 5 seconds.
And then somebody called the Wikipedia search. Catcher,
I
and they
want to
came-
learn about monkeys.
Was this
till
like
the night
Thursday?
closes in.
Like Wednesday or Thursday is when like it hit the news, and there have been no updates since. All they said was they believe it came from a private collection in Price
and that
Hill,
they were rage infected.
and that they were infected with the rage virus.
And when the owner finds out that they're outside of the package, he's going to lose his mind. their original
Are you doing a
packaging.
Are you doing a private selection joke?
Me? No. Freddie's doing
Oh, I was
something.
doing a bad collector joke.
Oh, okay.
You
Because
These
can't take
monkeys
them.
are in their original package. No big deal. Waited in line 5 hours.
'Cause-
Comic-Con 97. No big deal.
Kroger has a premium brand
Private selection.
store
It's not
called
bad.
Private Selection. So that's
Yeah.
I thought you were riffing on that.
Oh,
Private Selection
no. I have a
monkeys.
private erection.
Yeah. It's not so private anymore.
Not anymore.
You told us about it.
I
Now
don't
it's
know
just an
why they call
erection.
these things privates, clearly.
But
Mine are
anyway,
Publix.
I need an update on the monkeys. Dear local news, give me monkey updates.
The monkey
But
deer?
I love it when Cincinnati gets in the local news.
Cincinnati's
Last-
always in the local news.
I mean,
Andy.
not the national news.
National. Do you love it?
Would it be weird if some other city was talking shit about Cincinnati on their local news?
But don't you remember a couple weeks ago, Lady Gaga's dog got kidnapped and
Oh,
the dog walker was based in Cincinnati.
He was from Cincinnati, and that was like the #1 headline. And the local news app that I have was like,
Man that knows Lady Gaga from Cincinnati.
it's very much what happens around here. You don't understand. Like, if you are from Cincinnati and you do anything else in your entire life, we will report back on it.
This Cincinnati native saw Lady Gaga in concert and was very close to the stage. We interview him at 11.
Oh my
That's,
God. This
Local 12.
This
at
is a
11.
setup, Kelley, for a great science fiction movie about somebody whose job it is to track down the Tri-State Connection. And it'll be like Blade Runner.
This is a beautiful idea.
Instead of hunting replicants, he's hunting the Tri-State Connection person. And then at the end, it turns out that he's the connection person.
Oh.
And they're like, your
well, you're
grandmother's
never
from
sure.
Westchester.
You're never sure, though.
Right. Until
It's
the very end.
ambiguous. And then, but it keeps people guessing.
I'll tell you, because they have to have somebody doing that now. Because anytime there's like a major hurricane, it never hit Cincinnati, but we will get a news story about a local Cincinnati couple who was vacationing in place that got hit by hurricane. That will happen every time. So how does that happen? Unless there's a dude
I
out
can tell
there
you exactly.
scraping
I can't
Facebook
think-
for vacation pictures in Key West.
I think I also can, but Freddie, you go first.
Well, I mean, like you come home to your apartment, you open the door, all the lights are off, but there's a man in the corner smoking a cigarette. And he's like, "Are you Freddy Morris?" And I'm like, "Yeah. What's it to you?" And then he says, "Do you eat chili on your spaghetti?" And I'm like, "How do you know that?" Because I'm living in LA now.
Right.
I'm like, "How do you know that?" He's like, "Do you enjoy
Get it?
luxury?" Getta? Do you like
That's
do you like a reasonable cost of living? And then I'm like, oh my God, they found me. And they're doing a story about Kelley's new album. And they're like, yeah, he knew him. And I'm like, what?
Aww.
I'll be like,
That was very sweet of you.
and they brought out this guy, this hard boiled tri-state connector.
I can say egg.
It's hard boiled egg. Well, the man is also like this is like a comic booky world, so he is an egg. He's like
He is an egg.
Humpty Dumpty, but a private detective.
It is Humpty Dumpty because this
adorable.
is a fucking Alan Moore comic.
Yeah, I find the
That's
tri-state
serious.
connections.
It's deadly serious. He dares you to find this funny that Humpty Dumpty
Yeah.
is going around collecting Cincinnati native news, but it's so
Native
bleak,
news.
dark and serious. Like you can't believe how good it is.
It makes you question your hometown loyalties, only to have them reaffirmed in the end, and that's the highest form of art.
Yeah. And it really makes you see Humpty Dumpty in a whole new light when there's that like doggy style with the
The bacon lady, the lady
bacon
who's a
lady.
strip of bacon.
yes. Thank you for saving that.
She was so tall and slender, and he was so short and fat.
Oh, is that like the femme fatale character?
Yeah, her name is Hickory Smoke Show.
Oh, so such a sexy name.
It's very James Bond.
Oh my God.
You can call my friends call me Hickory or Cherry Smoke Show. That's better because Cherrywood. Cherrywood Smoke Show.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I do
Kelley.
think that
Bacon
a
at
lot of times
law. Sorry. I'm representing a client, a mutual client. And then the door opens and there's a French toast voiced by John Lithgow doing a French accent.
Kelley?
Yes.
Very
I was just
Alan
gonna say,
Please
I
move
think a
this
lot of people just email the news like, "Hey, I've known at least one person that did that and then was on the news for losing weight. Not even an amazing amount of weight, just a normal amount. But they emailed and said, "I lost a bunch of weight," and then they put them on the morning news.
And then there was the
"So you lost
follow-up.
a bunch of weight," and then you're like, "Yeah, I did."
And the follow-up was his scale malfunction. Like the next morning, they're like, he didn't lose any weight. And he's like,
Not
sorry,
as much
guys.
weight.
Like, oh, we're calling back. And he's like, hey, guys, I hate to break it to you, but scale was off. See this little dial here? You got to zero it out. Turns out I'm still 400 pounds.
Yeah. But so I think
the
a lot
only
of Cincinnatians just email them like, "Hey, you know somebody that was hit by the hurricane?"
Okay, but here's the thing. Every we joke about these local news stories, but I geek out every time I hear anything Cincinnati.
Oh my God, are
related
you
to pop
kidding?
culture.
Yes.
Do you
Absolutely.
feel like it affirms that you're not living in a bubble or a multiverse type situation? You're like, yeah, if
grounds
someone
you.
got out and something happened to the other part of the world.
Because Cincinnati has an inferiority complex, and
We're such a beautiful, rich,
Yeah.
wonderful city, and we think we have to talk about how somebody who grew up here knows Lady Gaga. That's silly.
because I remember watching Queen's Gambit a couple weeks ago, and they mentioned Cincinnati in passing. I was like, yay!
But then they're like, that hellhole? And you're like, oh, boo.
No, they stayed at a nice hotel in Cincinnati.
And they're like, you're thinking of Cleveland. And everybody's like, yay. And you're like, so Cincinnati, what's that one? It's the other shithole. Boo.
Hey, our lake didn't catch on fire.
Let me
Our
tell
lake
you
didn't catch on
something.
fire. Yay.
I'm sorry, Cleveland listeners, for what I'm about to say.
I love Cleveland.
I do
The
not.
rocks.
And no way is it. Cincinnati is a much prettier city.
But I do love the lakefront in Cleveland.
We have a nice riverfront.
Yeah.
That's bigger than a lake.
That's true.
Yeah.
Look,
You bet.
this isn't a pissing contest
Yeah, it is.
between two of Ohio's jewels. Can't we just come together
And hate
meet-
Columbus.
and meet in Hocking Hills? Where
I'm
it's
not really
magical?
a fan of anywhere north of Columbus.
Yeah.
Me either. I don't want to go north.
Yeah. Not even the wall?
Beyond the wall.
Beyond the wall?
Beyond
Sleep?
the wall.
Beyond the wall.
Yes. So today
Dig on that, you guys.
we just recorded our 2021 introduction to a 2009 show. 139, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be available to patrons if you want to support the show in that way. Patreon.com/NOTLP.
So much distance and time between.
And
It's
hopefully
a whole
a lot of growth.
different world. It is. It's a whole different world. That we're
Where you're
listening
coming
to.
from?
Yeah. And that is cool. Today we're going to discuss for our gangs theme,
Yeah, gangs!
The Road Warrior, which I had never seen until now. Stay tuned to see how we all felt about it.
Amy.
I'm kind of
Spoiler, I
upset
felt
that
good.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
great.
kind of upset that we don't have a pun name for this month.
Yeah, it's just gangs.
It's just
It's just
gangs.
gay, with the exclamation point though.
Yeah, it has an exclamation point. That's what makes it great.
You can call it gangbang.
There you go.
NLTLP gangbang.
Yeah, that's something
But it's too
different.
late now because we didn't do it.
That's coming to
Is that too
Patreon
easy?
Plus.
I'm saving that for our OnlyFans. So
Well, see, that's the thing. You put it out like that, but we don't actually put, like, everybody thinks, oh my God, premium content without, paying for it. And then it's just us talking about gangs movies. And then we're like, we really want to see this stuff.
Gangs.
It's our premium snap.
Last week we did 1990,
1990.
The Bronx Warriors, which was a really fun movie. And then next week we're doing a listener pick.
listener pick. I just emailed you, sir. I should have done it earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a lot of time. You could be mad
Did
at
we
me
announce
later.
who it was?
It is Mikey P. Michael Powell.
Yay! Congratulations. We met him in person.
We have met him in person. He's a lovely gentleman. I'm very excited to see what you come up with. I said be creative, have fun, make sure it's easily streamable and somewhat.
Involves
goes along.
gangs.
If you're
It has a
interested
gang.
in having a shot at picking the final main attraction of a theme we'll be running in the future, go to notlp.com, scroll down till you see Dracula on the stamp and sign up there. And then
And this is for all
come
listeners,
in.
not just patrons.
That's for anybody who wants to do it.
And Michael P, no pressure, but try to pick a movie with the Warriors in the title just so you can go with it.
That would be fun.
Oh, I could have just called them Theme Warriors.
God damn it.
But we don't cover the Warriors during
We've
it.
already done the Warriors,
Yeah.
though. So we can't do the Warriors because that's something that's been done. Yeah, Michael P.
So don't choose the Warriors.
Please try to
whatever
pick
you do.
something that we haven't done before.
Would be ideal.
And you can go to notlp.com and go to the search thingy and do the search stuff where you search.
And if you have a creative reason for picking something that isn't like obviously, noticeable to us,
We're gonna watch West Side Story, I bet.
I'd love West Side Story.
I do too. Just explain why you pick what you pick. In your email.
Explain.
Yeah, please explain.
And people can pick TV shows too. People have done that before in the past.
Yeah, like a couple episodes here and there is good. I'd say try to keep your runtime under 3 hours total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie
But just be creative. Like, do whatever you want. It's up to you.
We're like,
Yeah.
do whatever you want. However, here are some caveats. All right.
Keep in mind these guidelines.
Guidelines.
These are being enforced if you just walk away.
These are the CDC guidelines for picking our main attraction during a pandemic. Anyway.
You want to move on to roulette?
Shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for Straight-to-Video Russian Roulette.
Good morning. We're here to facilitate your move.
This place is huge, bro.
It is 4 times your rate. It is imperative that the move happen tonight. The basement and the attic are not your concern.
This shit is great.
Yo, boss, come here, man.
What you find?
Holocaust experiments.
That's the angel of death, motherfucker!
Usually, I'm much more professional.
All right. So this is an uneven film. It's called Stay Out of the Fucking Attic or Stay Out of the Attic, depending on where you're getting it.
Where you getting it?
I got it on Shudder, where it's Stay Out of the Attic. This movie, again, like I said, uneven, starts off very promising, great setup that I always enjoy. People who just work together. And these people what they are, like a felon program where people are returning to the workforce. And there's this white dude who is in charge of this team, and he has his longtime friend who is also an ex-con. They're the two that have been working together and have a good relationship, and they bring in this guy to give him a chance, this third guy who is like a young father who wants to get his life straightened out. And the job they take is emptying out this mansion of basically everything in it over a weekend. So this has a setup similar to things like Night Shift or Session 9. So promising setup. It begins to get a little politically odd in the middle.
Yeah.
They reveal. I don't necessarily. I do recommend this in as much as it's a pretty competently made movie, and if you're really dying for like something new, but it would not be my first choice at all. I would never revisit it. I'll never recommend it to anybody. So I'm going to spoil it.
Spoil the shit out of this fucking thing.
And some people may love it. I don't know. Because the concept on paper probably sounded pretty cool, but it's turns out the guy who runs this company is a jailhouse Nazi, by which I mean someone who he says they discover he has tattoos of swastikas and stuff. And the new guy says, fuck you, basically. This is blah, blah, blah. It's awful. And then he's like, well, I had to join to stay alive in prison. and I'm changing my life, and I want to give you the chance to change your life too.
And this is the guy who hires the group to clean the house?
Yeah, he was a jailhouse Nazi.
Gotcha.
And he has now a young black woman and a young Hispanic man working for him, and so they're trying to, obviously, they're very much, I think a lot of the race issue was part of constructing this story. Mm-hmm. So it's treading on some complicated ground to begin with for such a kind of silly horror movie setup.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting to watch this character develop from where he's at a point where he's a Nazi or like a neo-Nazi in prison to a better person outside. He's already been through that transformation almost completely when you at the word go for the movie.
Is it really just kind of used as a prop?
Yeah, it wasn't given like the gravitas that it deserves.
They're not exploring these issues. They just throw them out there for people to be like, oh, it's an issues movie.
Yeah, it feels very surface because what happens is, and again, I'm spoiling the shit out of this, so I'm probably going to ruin a lot of details. So they find that this is actually Goering, right?
No,
or
it's
Goebbels. Mengele. One of those. Yeah, Dr. Mengele. Sorry,
up as a character and things.
Yeah, so Dr. Mengele, I guess, is still alive through his experiments, and he also has like this one experiment they find in the attic who is a conjoined twin, and one of them is dying or dead already on her back.
Dying.
The best moment in the movie is the reveal of that character, which it was where I'm like, I want to give props to the direction and the cinematography for this moment, and the rest of it's pretty competent. But this moment was like above and beyond. And they're talking to this character in the attic, and she's just kind of this sickly girl. And then she slowly steps out from behind this crate, and she has a conjoined twin on the back of her head who's wearing an oxygen tank and stuff. It was really well thought out and executed effect too.
Yeah.
And that's where the movie really shined there. But then it's so distracting to have this character who meets this doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, I see who you are. You're one of us, and it's about him trying to entice him to the dark side, essentially. And then meanwhile, there's very big dramatic conflicts between these characters who are just really movers, and they're just doing their work. So things ramp up to this really dramatic point very quickly, and it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. It was all very much like they put way too much in it to reckon with. But then they were not presenting something that was a movie wherein that's the goal. The goal is to make a fun horror movie, with maybe a smattering of, because Nazis always make great villains.
They do. And I gotta say, I don't mind Nazis as villains, depending on how it's done. Like I know people have complained about like the Indiana Jones movies because they're cartoons, but I think I think you almost have to do that to make them villains, or I do like Quentin Tarantino using them in Inglourious Bastards. But I also think if you're going to use Joseph Mengele as a quote unquote mad scientist, I kind of don't like this thing that's sort of started happening with him as a character and things where they're like, this guy's a mad scientist. We're going to use Mengele because it's so shocking and scary. And I don't know how cool I am using a real person like that from such recent history, unless you're going to do it and you're going to handle it in such a way where it does have a little bit more gravitas, and it
although that I don't feel like that's happened. Like, I don't feel like there's been
either
a movie that's not a historical piece or a war movie where I feel like anyone has ever really grasped how to handle that.
I agree.
You should. The gravitas here was he realizes it's Mengele. They're having this conversation, the mover guy and him, and he's like, "Why did you bring us here? Why do you have to leave?" Or he's like, "Are you even moving?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got to move. Too many Jews went missing in the neighborhood." And it was just like, "Are you kidding me? This is what we're doing here?"
Yeah.
Well, it's so cheap. And again, I don't like the idea of him being this scientist who's extended his life through his scientific brilliance. I'm not into that, man.
Yeah.
I'm usually not weird about stuff like this, but I don't like that.
Well, I think that's kind of dangerous because a lot of times people hold these villains put these villains on a pedestal,
Right.
Yeah, it's giving him too much like awesomeness, quote unquote.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
especially for like, those like mad scientist characters, some people watch the movies for like the crazy shit they do.
Right.
For the gore and stuff like that. And it's dangerous to put like a real life character that into a movie and having people possibly
identify with
revere
that.
him. Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
But
I mean, they could have easily just made it just some random mad scientist, but to put a name on it, I think that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, and I don't even mind you being like what Andy just said. If they'd made it a fictional character who's supposed to remind you of that.
Right.
Well, that's how it starts. That's how it starts off, the way they present him, but then it turns out it really is him anyway. Yeah. But the thing, that's not even the bridge too far for me. Was that was just distasteful? I thought it wasn't well earned in the film.
I'm not saying it can't be handled right. But this doesn't sound like it.
But the next part is what bothers me a lot. It's like, well, yeah, he reveals that guy was a jailhouse Nazi, but the scientist recognizes the emblem tattoos on it. He goes, this isn't like a jail tattoo. This is like you were a deputy. Yeah. So they reveal that, the guy was a neo-Nazi, and that's why he was in prison, was probably something he did. I don't know if they blatantly said what.
No.
But he is now reforming, but they give you no idea really why he decided to change to begin with. And the point of the movie isn't that he's changing, even though he makes a big dramatic act of when being told, the whole we're not so different, you and I type speech that you get in all of these kind of movies.
Right.
He takes out a scalpel and cuts the tattoo off of his body, and then throws like the wet leathery skin at the scientist, before he smashes his head with one boot stomp.
And like,
No, so go ahead.
And then
he literally like collapses his head with one kick.
Yeah, it was. I mean, which in a funner movie it would have been more fun, but it just felt so cheap compared to like. Again, we're dealing with Nazism. We're in this resurgence of neo-Nazism now. Yeah. And it felt way too heavy to handle the way they did. And to have this neo-Nazi character whose redemption we never see or hardly clued into, like rise up as the hero of the movie.
Right.
And then there's more monsters coming out of the hallway and he's like, let's do this. It was just really tacky and in bad taste.
Well, I completely
can I ask you can I ask you how they handle the character of Mengele? Because when you think of like mad scientists and in horror movies like this, a lot of times they have like little one-liners or quips. Do they ever do that stuff with him?
Yeah, I mean, there's moments that are just cheap. It's just I don't recommend it. It just felt icky to me.
Well, yeah, it does. It feels almost like they're saying just overcoming being a white supremacist somehow makes you kind of heroic.
Right.
And
I take care of my kids.
And now this white former, as far as we know, white supremacist is now I'm not feeling this. And ugh.
Yeah, it sounds like they're making him into like this kind of cool character, and that's kind of icky.
Yeah.
I get it's like a taking it back thing. Like I understand the perspective this comes from probably the white male perspective of a certain age, where like the American History X fans, who are like, this guy turned his life around. It was really exciting. You really were rooting for him, but you're looking at like a master level.
Right.
Film
there's nothing. It doesn't sound like there's anything earned here. It doesn't sound like there's no moments where he has to, it sounds like, reckon with someone of another race really and have
other than he's the white savior who hired these people. Which is also adds to the tackiness. They kind of address that a little bit through some dialogue, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Well, when it was over, I just looked at Freddy and I was like, that was a deeply silly movie.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, like, just looking at the trailer, like, the gore effects look pretty good.
The effects are great. The performances are decent. The story on paper sounds like a lot of fun. It's something that when I was a teenager, I would have loved the story.
Yeah.
When you put it all together, and through my eyes now, knowing what I know and kind of having, more emotional connections to that part of history now and really understanding it more, like it's nothing to fuck with like that. And it just, in my opinion, I can't, not for me. Like when I say can't do it.
And like you said too, especially now.
Yeah.
Now
Like,
more than ever.
I'm not saying. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that artists should be like, changing what they want to do based on the current time. I'm not saying anybody has to. And
it's how you handle it. You just got to handle it with the reverence and respect that it deserves.
You have to be enough of a craftsman if you're going to do that. Yeah,
exactly. And on top of that, this is still a commercial. It's art, but it is super commercial art. Like it is meant to make so like it you got to be more careful with that kind of thing.
Yeah, it just didn't play right. And it might, I mean, the intentions I'm sure were not, sure. I don't question anybody who worked on this movie's intentions to make a statement, and it was probably a positive statement. It just it came off as it folded in a lot of nonsense.
Well, they just didn't have the skill to execute maybe what their intentions were.
Needed the nuance.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you so much, Freddie.
You're welcome.
For your time and your words.
I'm going to eat some more Skittles.
You're going to eat some more Skittles. So what we're going to do is find out who's going to watch the movie next week.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh, I got this Jack in the Box. I'm going to pass it
Is this how we're going to do it?
Oh, yeah. Who wants to crank first? Well, I believe it's Kelley.
Let's crank it. Wow.
Yeah, seriously. Wow.
It's premature.
I just did one of these.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein, and I want to know what the fuck you're doing with my time.
What are these 5-foot-tall monkeys?
You're muted.
What are these 5-foot-tall monkeys? What are they?
All right, Kelley.
Yo.
This film is on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's called Shortcut.
I feel like I saw this advertised.
A mysterious creature terrorizes 5 teenage friends after their bus takes a shortcut on a desolate road in the wild.
Well, I like creatures. I'm ambivalent about teenagers.
How about buses?
In groups.
What about shortcuts?
Yeah.
Shortcuts, I like.
Like Richard Altman? Robert Altman?
Somebody Altman?
Dickie Doo?
Robert Altman's brother, Richard.
Dickie Doo Altman.
All right.
Ooh.
All right. Well, we'll certainly look forward to that.
Oh, it sounded like you said all right.
In the future, cities will become deserts. Roads will become battlefields. And the hope of mankind will appear as a stranger. He works alone against all odds. He may be the best chance we've got.
You want to get out of here? You talk to me.
road warrior. Pray that he's out there.
So
somewhere.
This movie is one of my all-time favorites. I'm glad we did it. But I just want to say, Mel Gibson's personal nastiness aside.
Speaking of Nazis.
Yeah. So I don't even like to necessarily put that discussion into it because it kind of ruins it for me. He is him who he is now. Kind of, it doesn't completely ruin the movie, thankfully, because the movie is stronger than him.
Well, yeah, I don't think about him as the actor. Right.
Also, I mean, to be fair, his performance is really good, even though he's a shithead.
Yeah. Well, as so many, you can be a shithead and be talented.
Yeah.
Heard that.
But yes, I fucking love, and it's fun. I've seen these. They used to show these on Channel 64 all the time.
Yeah.
They'd show them all the first three in a row, and so I've always also had them they overlap for me, the first three. And like I was saying earlier, I haven't watched any of these since I was a kid. Fury Road's the only one I've watched as an adult. God damn it, though, I do love this shit. I love vehicles. I'm not a car guy per se.
I love vehicles.
But I am an 80s kid. And one of the greatest things about being a kid in the 80s was the vehicle toys.
And not just I feel the same way. And that's tattoos that I have are the vehicles of adventure.
Yeah.
Are the whole theme of every tattoo that I'm interested in, right?
Yeah.
So I have the Orca, I have
the Nautilus.
I'm getting the Nautilus here real soon, and Jock Lindsay's plane. I feel that same connection. Mad Max's car, if it weren't for Mel Gibson, I'd probably have that tattoo.
Just get the dog. The dog in the car.
I love the dog. Ooh, the dog in the car, yeah.
Well, you could also get anyway, there's a billion things you could get. But I fucking love the vehicles, and the mayhem is beautifully shot.
Yeah. Great practical stunt work in this movie. Probably the best
it looks
of the
so
time.
dangerous.
Yeah. I feel this is more of a directing achievement than a story achievement, because the story is so simple that it's kind of pointless, but the world building and the directing and the craftsmanship around it, I think that's the biggest achievement for me.
I agree. It has a lot in common with Jaws too.
It does.
Yeah.
And it feels like a role-playing game. That's another thing. Again, this just made me want to play in that world. I love that fantasy world. It's such a great, unique kind of high fantasy, but down to, but based in our our future.
Grounded.
Yeah. Fucking love it, man.
I have never seen any of the Mad Max movies outside of the Fury Road.
Yeah.
And then this.
Well, it's funny how much that movie honors this one.
Yeah.
It does.
Just visually, especially with those people tied to the front of the vehicles.
Yeah.
But the Fury Road, it just amped it up so much more because he has so much more resources and advancements in movie making that I just love the progression of this movie to Fury Road.
Yeah, me too.
I even wondered I was like, is that the same rig that but it's not, I don't think. But it's a very similar rig to what Furiosa drives.
Yeah.
In Fury Road.
At first I was like, okay, well, this is the second movie. I wasn't going to argue about it, but I was like, am I going to be lost? And it really,
You're not
I
lost.
was fine.
Yeah, they do a great job. To me, this is
They
something.
didn't even need to give me that little bit at the beginning. I
Right.
don't care.
No.
There's just a guy.
It feels like The Evil Dead 2 very much to me, like a remake
Very much.
and a reboot within and of itself. A sequel, a remake, a reboot, all wrapped into one. I think Raimi and Miller are probably the only two that have ever pulled that off.
Yeah.
That's the whole thought.
As far as I know, and I know very little about the topic of Australia and its geography, but just you got a couple of miles of normal, and then just the middle is dust and scorpions.
Yeah,
is that right?
It's the coast that's where most of the population is, but in the middle, that's nothing but
death.
What's it called?
Well,
Outback.
keep in mind,
Yeah.
Keep in mind that's what people say about America too, and we live near the middle.
Yeah.
Well, no, the middle of America is corn.
Right. I mean, they still have a variety of landscapes, but I
know, but I enjoy my silly.
This movie is one of the reasons people.
It is.
It was such a huge success that I think it's part of the reason we see Australia the way we do.
This and Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, like you know,
I
this is it's post-apocalyptic though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's funny as kids. We're like, man, Australia's crazy.
Yeah,
you know, you're like guzzling. They got gasoline, we got gasoline.
If I was Australian, I would love that people thought that I lived in this badass hellscape and that I fought a spider every day for food. Like, fuck yeah, I do.
Well, that's not too far off from what the reality is, right?
That's
they got
what I understand.
They got giant ass spiders down there, right?
Yeah. Well, do you feel like someone watched The Hills Have Eyes and they're like, America?
Well, America after nuclear weapons were tested, but what are you gonna do? Yes.
That's New York.
What was I just about to say about what you're... Oh, also, like, I forgot, this really feels Star Wars-y. Like, it feels as big and beautiful as Star Wars, which it did not to me as a kid. Like, I remember as a kid thinking they felt cheap, and maybe this is because it's been restored and it's not being shown on Channel 64.
Yeah, with ads and all kinds of shit edited out.
Because with it, like, it really is super beautiful and it's huge and epic and it looks really expensive and but also Brian May of Queen, who wrote
different Brian May.
Oh
yeah, people get that. He's the Brian May composer. Brian May,
yeah. Well, now I'm less.
Everything is terrible.
I'm
now.
less impressed with Brian May, the guitar player.
No,
I'm not saying I'm not impressed with.
Yeah.
No, I am less impressed.
Right. Because
I also thought he wrote movie scores and conducted orchestras.
No, but he does riff on John Williams a lot.
Yeah, he does. It's so Star Warsy. Like riffs on is a real nice way of saying
rips off.
There are moments that are directly taken from the Star Wars.
There are, but also there are moments that are only his.
But then, of course, John Williams also used a lot of the planets for Star Wars. So.
That's true. Yeah, like it's derivative of a derivative work.
But like I like what you said, how it's compared to Star Wars, how big the universe is. Like just by the narration of it. The beginning of telling the legend of Mad Max.
Yeah.
And how, I guess it's just a spoiler that the narrator is actually the feral kid.
Did that kid play multiple feral kids in movies? I feel like every time you see a feral kid, it's that kid.
I feel like I saw him in the Ewoks movie at some point.
Do you remember in Demons, the blonde girl that was snorting cocaine with all the bad kids when they're driving around Berlin? When I was a kid, I thought she was the grown-up feral kid.
Yeah.
Because I never when I was a kid, I didn't get that was the narrator. I thought that was a little girl. Yeah. And then when I saw Demons, I thought, hey, that's the little girl from Mad Max.
And then this time you're like, oh, that was a boy.
Yeah. And also it would make zero sense, the whole scenario.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
The actor who played the feral kid is currently running a successful jewelry store in Sydney.
Makes her own jewelry or like a real jewelry store?
Honey, what do I know?
Like blood diamonds or beads?
Oh my God.
Anywho,
why can't it be both?
It can be both. But what if she sells bejeweled boomerangs?
Oh my God.
I think that's a boy.
Oh yeah, I mean, what if I meant to say him. What if he...
Freddy Morris.
I still hadn't shifted gears properly in my brain from talking about demons.
No,
that's how evolved you are.
You just use them interchangeably, and I appreciate that.
That's right. I hope they have bejeweled boomerangs. In a conversation about bejeweled boomerangs, podcaster Freddy Morris made a faux pas.
She made a fox pass.
Made a fox pass.
You're discussing the 1981 movie.
So in a world
yeah.
where the only thing necessary to survive is gas.
Gasoline. G-U-Z-Z. Gasoline.
Apparently water was and food was easy to get or easier to get. Mm-hmm. Even on this dusty hellscape.
Well, I think I don't know that it is. I think that's part of why they want to move.
Okay.
Is they have the idea of a place where all of those things exist.
Right.
I don't think water and food are easy to get. I just don't think because that's part of Fury Road. I just don't think that was part of this. Like they were like, we can't cover
Can't cover
food and water
all
in
the
this.
needs.
Well, they're also
In
chasing.
this very simple chase movie.
Yeah.
It's a chase movie, like even in the fact that they are chasing down the final resources of Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is like pre-leaving the planet times.
Yeah.
Like by years, and not generations anymore. Like
this is what it will look like.
Right.
It
Soon.
was a really good moment where they underscore how important getting gas is. Like Mel Gibson, Max. We'll just call him Max because I don't like saying that motherfucker's name.
Yeah. Well, and it's not Mel Gibson. It is Max.
Max he injures the guy with the mohawk and the assless chaps with the little flap to keep his crack, There's a little flap to protect the crack. He injures him, and in a chase or something was happening. I don't remember. I'm not sure it matters, but because he sees this tanker that has like fallen onto its side, there was an accident, and
Right.
he's like, I'm gonna go get the gas out of this truck, even though I've injured this roving marauder.
Yeah, that's Wes. He's one of the Star Marauders. That's Vernon Wells, who I did the panel with at Horror Hound, and where were we? Indiana.
Yeah.
Elise referred to him as Adamant, or the warrior with the Adamant makeup.
Yeah.
I think he's fan. He's in Weird Science too. You remember that? You might. It's funny because Amy, you hadn't seen The Road Warrior, but you had seen Weird Science.
Yeah.
And he plays the same character in Weird Science.
Oh, that guy.
Does he have the same red mohawk?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Probably like
yeah.
Is that how his hair always is?
No. He's just a role. He talked about all the weird BDSM stuff, like when we were doing that. Great panel. Man, my memory's terrible, but I can't remember who was the other actor on that panel now. Anywho.
So what I was saying was this moment where the movie shows you instead of tells you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max is running to get the gas out of this overturned tanker, knowing full well that this dude is after him because he's shot him with an arrow.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right there. They're like making eye contact, and Mad Max is like, I got to get this gas. I will die for this.
It's a pretty badass scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, that really underscores what we're dealing with here.
And not just how he collects it too. He finds any receptacle he can, and even soaks it up from the ground with a rag and squeezes it out. So it Amy said, like, it shows you how valuable that stuff is because he's doing anything he can to get every last drop.
That's the way it was with Coca-Cola Classic. Like after New Coke came out, but Coca-Cola Classic was
You had to
still
find
Yeah, it was just the old Coke. You'd
Only
soak
few
that shit
left.
up with a rag.
There's only a few cans left. I did the same thing with craft beer a few years ago. If I found it, I would buy every last bottle of it. But
sometimes that's what you got to do.
It's also it shows you how basically close to death you always are now. Like it's like everyone, I feel like in this world, no one thinks they're going to necessarily be alive 5 minutes from now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like to him, he's like, I got to do this. I'm probably going to die anyway. So, but my instinct to live is strong enough that I'm not just going to just lay down and give up. So it really, like you said, it gives a good idea of the kind of world you live in. And actually, while this is a very simple story and it's very much an action movie, I do love the way they kind of convey some deep stuff about Max's character, I think, in that I always get the sense he has some very Han Solo moments in this movie. I always get the sense, at least not always, watching this movie this time, I got the sense that he doesn't want to see these people. He's seen enough of people die that matter to him. Like he wants to help them, but he doesn't want to like involve himself and see this. And you know what I mean? There's am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a perfect example is when he and the gyro captain. They are the gyro captain now is following Mad Max around because he thinks they're good partners.
No, he also because Max has put him on a leash and chain.
Well, yeah,
and handcuffed him.
But it's later,
because he mentions he knows where some gas is.
Yeah, it starts that way, right? And
then the guy starts following.
He started dating him as a prank. And the gyro captain came down the stairs and like, kiss me.
Took off his glasses, did his hair.
Ate his dog food. So they're on the ridge, very much an old Western setup, like a John Ford shot. They're on the ridge, and they use this in Star Wars too. Tusken Raider scene, right? Where you're looking out, or Mos Eisley Cantina from a distance. It's that same idea. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's the encampment of our gangs, exclamation point, down, and they have a woman and a man they've kidnapped. And Max and the gyro captain are helplessly watching. And both of them, you can tell, are debating, do we go down and try to help? No, we'll just die. But they're not saying it. That's where those actors did such a good job of like, you look and you're like, oh, it's getting bad. It's getting worse. It's really bad. Now it's look like it's going to be murder. What do? We go down, we're dead for sure.
Right.
So like, that's the kind of the theme that sets that up. So later when you understand why Max says no to so much, because I guess he has just seen so many people killed.
And he can't get close to these people and see it over and over again. Cause I think he has like a soul, you know what I mean? He's
also he's turned the corner to being callous almost. But
you have to be to live in this world. Like you have to be a little bit. I think that's the fight in him. It's like he has to be hard just to survive. But then how do you survive? How do you survive when you have a sensitive soul in the apocalyptic outback?
I would die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, the perfect example is the music box that he finds. It plays Happy Birthday, and he was a father and a husband in the before times, and he finds that music box, and that's the thing that brings back just that little touch of his humanity for a minute, and then later when he meets the feral child, that's the thing that really begins to like start the he can't help it anymore. Like the doors are open, like his humanity is coming back to him because of this kid.
Yeah.
So he meets these folks. Yes.
Oh yes, he meets. No, I was just gonna say. Well, we'll get to it because we haven't got to it yet.
And they're out refining crude oil and turning it into gas, I guess. Yeah,
and they have nice white
outfits,
like felt and velvety armor.
Very
Barbarella-esque, but with more coverage.
I had the same thought. I was like, where'd she get that Barbarella outfit?
But I love like how far into the future was this?
I don't know that they ever say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I loved how even though it's this post-apocalypse thing and all culture and society has disappeared, it still felt very 80s to me, the aesthetic.
Definitely. I love the girl.
They're not really able to think into the future.
When I think with the feathered hair and the headbands and the big shoulders.
Well, the one with the top knot ponytail, who's the doctor? Was she the doctor's daughter?
It was just so 80s, but it's supposed to be like a timeless thing, but it felt just of its time.
Well, I also think they probably were thinking that. The idea I think was that the nukes were going to go off in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the last society.
Remember, that's the thing we heard every day when we were kids. We're like, we're going to die in a thermonuclear war.
Yeah. I like the idea of like society stopping, culture stopping at the 80s because it never progressed. So they were stuck in those styles.
Yeah.
Forever. That's the really terrifying thing.
Yeah, everybody had feathered hair and mullets, and
don't you feel like
it was so fun?
The 80s nuclear crisis was just a diversion, so we wouldn't question our new food process too much.
It was the sand. It was the sand in the tanker.
Right. It was basically they're like, oh, you could die at any minute from nuclear war. Here's a hamburger. And then they just keep, because they just eventually get there, where all the food corporations own everything. This is super paranoid sounding, but it's meant to be a fun thought exercise, not a paranoia thing.
You are right.
I like how
the food corporations are they're what are going to kill us.
Yeah,
but like how it was the quote unquote good tribe was contrasted with the bad guys.
Yeah,
they had fun with their fashion because it was not practical at all.
Well, they had the luxury of fun because they had a walled city.
Yeah,
and that's why the roving
Lord
gang,
Humongous Lord Humongous and his other scavenger gang friends.
He was reasonable in a lot of ways. For a naked man in a leather harness and hockey
Jason
mask.
Voorhees.
Yeah. For naked Jason Voorhees, he was awfully level-headed. He goes, "No one has to suffer. Just walk away. No big deal."
A day to think about it.
Right.
Even though they were brutal and animal, awful, they still had fun, which I appreciated.
This is like the Klingons in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Very similar personalities. They come to a planet or a settlement and they're like, "Look, here's the deal. You're going to give us half of everything you make, or we're going to come back and kill all of you and put Klingons here instead." And that's kind of the same idea.
Very
He's like,
reasonable.
"Just leave. We're going to take your stuff. Go away."
Just go.
Wes, is that his name?
Wes, yeah. The Mohawk.
Because he...
Crack flap.
Yeah, because the point of this society, like this era, is to survive. But he still had the time and the foresight to look for feathers and make his little shoulder pads.
Think about a day is 24 hours long. And think about all the time that they're not scavenging, because you're not scavenging 24 hours a day. No. So all you have, and human, I think, again, it's also part of like the human spirit, even in the completely gone over scavengers. Because again, while they're awful and inhumane, they are also trying to survive. And it's like somehow human spirit and personality comes out. And so that is like what they're doing in their downtime, like finding ways to make themselves.
Not just that, but he also probably went out scavenging in jeans and a t-shirt the first 50 times. And he realized one day he had a bunch of red smear on his face and someone ran away and just left their shit. And he was like, "Wait a minute, I need to go out into the outback and get some grease paint."
Well, it is also about looking like a badass, like, an animal, like a lizard with a big collar. That's
or peacock with its big spread.
I mean, that's an Australian animal, is the lizard with the large frilled collar that runs.
And he also...
the lizard with the large... Yeah. It's like the girl with the yellow ribbon.
Oh.
Like Becky with the good hair.
Yeah. And like on top of looking for fashioning an awesome outfit, he also found love in a hopeless place.
That made me a little sad.
It made me...
Even though they were bad people.
Yeah. Because it's about survival, but they still found each other.
Assuming that this was not a coerced.
I know it was probably not consensual.
I don't know. It seemed like it was. I think they were lovers.
Who knows?
Yeah.
In a dangerous time.
But he did actually feel, pain and when the kid threw that boomerang at his lover.
From his perspective, he's just trying to survive. Him and his lover are trying to survive.
That's what I was just about to say. It isn't. Again, I feel like there's more going on in that there is a human, like, first of all, we don't know what the scavengers that we are rooting for have done to be able to create themselves this walled city. Who did they take that from?
The Walking Dead does a good job sometimes of riffing on all these same themes. It has a lot in common with it.
I had this thought a lot. My thought was that this handles it way better than The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Because, they're trying to fill too many hours with The Walking Dead, whereas this is like, they can distill it down to a classic Western setup with a good versus evil, or even the samurai type movie. It's just that classic setup. And it
reminds me a lot of Conan.
Very much.
But they still manage to give you like these little moments, like you said. I was like, oh, that sucks a little bit that they kill. You know what I mean? It's obviously I'm rooting for the softer people, but again, you can look at it as all of these people have done crazy shit. Like you said, like The Walking Dead, everybody's killed somebody.
You wouldn't say there are fine people on both sides, though. I said you wouldn't say that there are fine people on both sides, though.
Is that a lyric?
No, that's something Trump said.
That's what Donald Trump said after that.
After
Charlottesville rally.
Yeah.
They finally they do something. Two things that are very cool. It's barely any dialogue. It's just really about the stunts and the action, which is delightful to me. Also, the gyro captain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They turn him into a badass.
He's also just a sweet character.
Yeah, he was like a loner at
Conan's
first. But,
sidekick.
yeah, he was a loner at first, but he got pulled into the society because he still has this shred of humanity in him.
He's also like the little thief character in Conan.
He's always like, the crazy comic relief, helper guy.
But like
he's whimsical because he has that awesome purple scarf.
Oh, do you guys remember?
And silly shoes.
They used to sell kits like that you could buy.
My the first girl who ever kissed me, her father built his own helicopter from a kit like that, and they came to the air show with it. They used to come to the air show with it.
Did he die?
I don't know. He was like, "Man, maybe I'll take you up," and I was like, "No,
no, thank you."
I won't get into a factory built
helicopter.
I'm not doing it.
Let me say though, that helicopter, the gyrocopter, is one of the best set pieces in the movie. In particular,
Agreed.
There's a moment that later in like in Platoon, later I feel almost like Oliver Stone borrowed from this scene where Max is wounded and laying in the chopper, and it's shot from above.
Yeah.
In the foreground is Max. The background is the terrain underneath as they fly over. There's nothing in the middle. You don't see the chopper at all. You just see his disembodied head and shoulders hanging out over this landscape that all this is playing out in, and it makes your head spin. And there's a couple other moments like that where you do feel like you were in the middle of nowhere.
Well, like I love the action scenes with the gyrocopter. Just filming it.
Yeah.
Because it was going so fast.
And it was clearly real.
Yeah, it was real because you can't fake that really.
Yeah, a lot of what you see in this movie is real.
Yeah, this is like the master of his direction. Like it felt dangerous.
It felt very dangerous, very exciting. It's a very exciting movie.
Yeah,
you guys think
the overhead shots with a gyrocopter.
Right.
I did not see like a shadow of the vehicle they were filming from at all.
No,
it's like the editing was so good, just to piece all those action scenes together to make it so seamless.
Yeah, I always wondered about later George. What is wrong with my brain? George Miller. See, I told you it was too common.
With my brain.
He worked on the Twilight Zone movie later, where Vic Morrow was killed in the helicopter accident. He did a different segment, but I wonder if that had something to do with such a hard shift after, because George Miller movies until Fury Road had been a little more sedate as far as like stunt work.
Right.
And I wonder how much of an effect that had on him. Like
after that, he's like, oh, I guess I should keep people on the ground now.
Yeah. Or, at least, but, show some caution. But, are human lives worth art? Is that a old question? Will you die for your art? And movies just seem still too much of a commercial endeavor for anybody to reasonably say it's worth risking your life for.
For real.
Although, you risk your life for middle school wrestling, so.
That's true.
So then we have...
Those parents always take shots at me when I try to get at their kids.
Then they have
you plus that, sir.
Good job, Freddy.
Thank you.
I'm going to subscribe to Freddy Plus.
Oh, you plus that.
Sorry, Amy.
It's okay.
Amy,
no, I was just going to say that you get this fun post-apocalyptic movie with all these great chase scenes and really good like action, and then you get a little heisty. Then you get a heist kicker.
Yeah,
you're like add a heist floater to my margarita.
Don't forget, you get actual like character, like you get some character stuff too,
and you get character stuff. You get the trust building between the crazy captain with his cute shoes and Max, and you get the dog is adorable and I love it, but it dies and that makes me
so
sad.
Heroic though. It stands between him and Wes.
And then
several times, all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's a beautiful dog.
Well, that's a great thing to even the relationship between them is not just character. It's character building again for Max. That he loves this creature and has kept it with him, and it loves. They take care of each other. And anyway, finish your thought.
But just talking about those character moments, and then of course the feral kid kind of worming his way in.
I think that kid's adorable now. Like when I was a kid, I thought it was kind of a creepy kid, but now I think it's just the
I love that
thing.
kid.
Yeah.
And I also like, there's this thing that I feel like I'll have to revisit Mad Max before I can say for sure where so the deal he makes with I like to call them the soft scavengers is I have this idea how I can save your shit, or at least the best everything in that. You never know if anyone's going to live. I feel like in this world, it's like, this is our best shot to live, but we all might die. So he's going to go and get that tanker and bring it back. And you think, as Amy brought up in this heisty thing, to carry the gasoline out.
Oh, could we say there's that nod to Jaws in that scene too, kind of, where the townspeople are all arguing over how best to deal with it. And instead of scratching the chalkboard, he does the whistle. But from there on out, it's basically your Quint and the townspeople scene over again.
Exactly. But so then he comes back, and this is what I feel like always happens to Mad Max. So they don't expect him to come back because they give him a bunch of gasoline. And they think he's just going to go out, find another vehicle, move on. He actually does it. He brings the shit back because he is an honorable person. But his deal was, I do this for you. You give me a bunch of gasoline. You give me my vehicle, my dog. I leave, and you leave me alone. So he comes back, and now they expect him. And now, again, this is his Han Solo moment. The rebels think, oh, you did us this favor. Now you can do us an even bigger favor. And I feel like this happens to Max in every fucking movie where he helps somebody out a little bit more than he really has to.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we need you to do more.
Yeah.
And
we need another hero.
And it is like, it's this great thing where you're like, well, from their perspective, we'll do anything to survive and we need this. And from his perspective, he's like, I did what I told you I was going to fucking do. This is not cool for you to ask me this.
That's right.
But
they're basically...
But did he also do it because there was promise of more gasoline than he was already promised?
No, he had everything he wanted. The only reason he did it was because the kid is what brings him back to his humanity every time.
Okay, I was just a little bit confused on that, why he agreed to do it, because I thought they promised
and also
more.
Because the gyrocopter guy saves him. And brings him back like that, then he's like, all right, I guess I fucking have to.
Could you imagine if Mad Max went to like a therapist and he's like, my therapist told me I need to start saying no to more villagers.
I have to create boundaries. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
he did do a good job creating boundaries. He was like, sorry, no, sorry, no, sorry, no. And then I'm
trying to manage my mad right now.
The guy is like fucking me tooing him in terms of like help, not sex, but help.
Can you me too someone by requesting assistance?
Well, just he won't take no
by asking for help.
He didn't ask him to help him get off.
No, but I'm saying he didn't take no.
Hey, can you drive this tanker and jerk me off? It's not a big deal. Take one afternoon if you could just drive the tanker and jerk me off. Just jerk me off while you do it.
Oh my god.
Use baby oil.
I have a question. So did those soft scavengers use him as a pawn basically?
No, he's his plan, isn't it?
No,
it was his plan. Yeah,
it was his plan. Because the way just the way at the end when he saw the sand coming out, it just seemed like
he didn't.
To me, he didn't know.
I think it was
they kind of laughed with each other. Yeah, it was more of that.
Kind of like, okay,
it was like, son of a bitch, we did it. It was like, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just like, check it out, bitches.
Or sand. I'm gonna shoot.
Just that little bit of his performance, it was like he was running his hands through the sand, and he was looking at it. Like, I guess you guys saw it as like it worked,
right?
But I saw it, was like, oh, it was the way I saw it was like he was like, oh, it was.
Your glass is half empty of sand, and your glass is half full of sand.
Well, it's like I thought it was like a nice, interesting character thing where you thought the soft scavengers are good guys, but to me, it was like they're trying to survive too. And
that's an interesting take on it because you could interpret it that way and not be wrong.
I interpret it as they were using Max too, even though they were ostensibly the good guys.
Yeah,
they were just doing whatever they could.
So you think it was game recognizing game when he started laughing?
Yeah, a little bit.
He was like, "Son of a bitch, they did it."
I mean, like your interpretation is like a lot more hopeful, but I was just putting myself in that time and like how you do anything you can to survive, even though you would you would fuck over this guy that helped you because
Max fell for it again.
My only issue with this movie is I just don't think leather would be comfortable in such a dry, arid environment. Let me explain. Like a little bit of leather, like assless chaps, dude. Like he's got some good airflow.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
Protection.
No, I understand.
Protection.
I know you need to have, but you need to have soft, breathable fabric when you're in the heat like that. And
yeah, but it's more to protect him from like road rash. You get in one automobile accident every 2 or 3 years, right? You're your average person, maybe.
It's your basic D&D leather armor.
Okay.
You're
right.
Max gets into 170 automobile accidents every week. Even though the roads are wide open.
Yeah.
And it's more of a dry heat anyway. It's not humid.
Yeah.
Oh, if it was humid, you do not want to be wearing leather.
You think like they forgot what seatbelts were in this future too, and he's like, these leathers, if when you're ejected from your vehicle, and believe me, this is a terrible accent. I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
Doesn't matter.
But he says these leathers, you're going to want them because you're going to be ejected from your vehicle many times. Many times, more so than you'd ever expect. Your vehicle will be back there, and you will be 30 feet ahead.
Well, they probably chopped out all the seat belts because people kept like using them to strangle other people with.
Yeah, they're all in evidence somewhere. Because that was the lead
we
up.
We got to take these out of the scars because we just keep strangling each other with them, and we don't even use them as seat belts anymore.
Not so safety belts.
That's right.
What if they started working the airbag technology into future stunts? Because I feel like the timeline of the Mad Max universe, the world ended in our like 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
And the vehicles they had, it was all before all these safety features and stuff. But would it blow their mind if you had like a time traveling element or something and somebody came back or brought like a Ford Fiesta with an airbag and they're like, he'll never walk out of that fiery crash. And then he comes out because he had an airbag. He's like, I'm okay.
If they do another one, I would love not a main vehicle. But I would love for that to be in there. Something like that in the mix. Like
or they use it as a weapon somehow. It flings Chinese throwing stars. They put a bunch of them on there and it's the defensive device. Someone tries to steal his car and then like...
Exactly. Something explodes out of that airbag.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. George Miller, we're available for reasonable rates. He does have like at least one, maybe two new Mad Max movies coming out.
I heard that they were working on a new one.
Yeah, there's one about Furiosa.
He's old too, man. He's in his 80s.
Is he in his 80s?
Damn.
Like late 80s now. Because when did Fury Road come out?
He was born in 45, so he's in his 70s.
Yeah, I mean,
I swear I thought when it came out, they said he was 83.
Yeah, this movie came in 81, so that's like 30 years ago.
Andy, are you on your walkie-talkie?
Yeah, I had him on my regular phone because it's dying.
I can't do the math in my head right now for some reason.
76?
That sounds right.
All right. Well, I only said that. Maybe they say he was 73. I swear I remember thinking at the time that they had said he was 83, like during the Oscars, I guess.
And he was like, you fuckers.
So, all right. Well, thank you for clearing that up for me.
Thank you.
Because I was like, they better hurry up then.
Yeah, he's still doing
doing okay. All right, good.
Yeah, he mentors a lot of people too. I think he was the mentor for the woman who directed Babadook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he taught her how to make films.
The Road Warrior.
I hope I didn't misspeak then. If someone knows that's not true, let me know.
He's like, first lesson, get a camera.
Yeah.
Lovely movie. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, great movie.
It made me forget about Mel Gibson's Optimus.
It does. That's the testament of how good the movie is when you're like, oh, I forgot that's him.
He barely speaks.
Yeah. I'm ready to visit the other three now.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to.
People shit on Thunderdome. I want to say for the record, I love that movie.
It's my favorite, actually. I like it better than this one. But that's more of a nostalgia than actual.
It's the Temple of Doom to Raiders, very much. So you might like Thunderdome more than you like this one because it has a lot. The tone is very much like. I think he was literally paying attention to other, franchises and said, okay, we did the first very grim, serious movie. And then we kind of lightened it up and did an actioner.
Yeah.
And then the third one is like full on camp. We're going to lean into every little bizarre thing that people were we're like hung up on in the other movies.
It's very Star Warsy.
Yeah.
It's very much a Star Wars trajectory.
Except they put the darkest one in the middle with Star Wars.
Yes.
This feels more almost like a combination of the Indiana Jones model and the Alien model to me.
Yeah, you're right. It feels very Star Wars.
The gyro captain is the Chewbacca.
On the whole.
That is Chewbacca. He is Chewbacca in this movie.
He eats dog food. Chewbacca was based on a dog. Stands to reason.
God, you're stupid. Alrighty, everybody. Well,
real quick. Speaking of Thunderdome,
yeah,
Tina Turner match, and that Tina Turner documentary is on HBO.
Oh, have you watched it already?
I highly recommend it.
Oh yeah,
right.
I forgot that came out already.
Let's say hi to our Beelzebubs, and then we have a couple things before we go. Amanda.
Hi.
Ernest.
Hi.
Alise.
Yo, what up?
Bill Farner.
I'll see you soon.
Balake.
You'll see Bill soon?
No, Alise. And yes, I will in your dreams. Your naked dreams.
Tree and Alex. Hi.
Hi.
Mark, we already talked about you.
Oh.
You were, that was on Origins. Mark, we talked about you on Origins. Hi.
I want to play Destiny 2 again soon.
Jeffel.
Yo.
Iona Goodwin.
Great.
Wells.
Also from Down Under, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about people calling it Down Under?
Yeah.
Always, they have any personal.
Tell us about the largest spider you fought for food. Branan and Emily.
Aww.
Adam.
Hi.
Bill Chandler.
Yeah.
Monica.
Hey.
Blayne. We also talked about you, Blayne, on Origins. So go listen to that. Alyssa.
Aw.
Aww. Brian. Aww.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, Carla.
Carla.
I try to make a different noise for each of you.
Beep boop.
I make a blurp and a blap.
Andy, what is our Topicana question? A reminder, Topicana.
Snap.
Yeah, totally forgot about that.
It's our new weekly show. Not new. It's newish.
Andy's hair looks really cool, listeners.
He
right
looks
now,
like
by the
Prince
way.
right now.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Topicana is our weekly show where somebody asks a question and we answer it.
Okay, I was inspired by, we were hanging out on Friday. We were by the fire. And at one point, Freddy turned off all the lights. And we were lit
You're
by
breaking
nothing.
up real bad, Andy, so I'm going to just repeat what you said. Andy said we were all hanging out by the fire. I turned the lights out.
Yeah. And it was just very spooky and cozy. And my question is, tell me something scary or spooky that's happened to you.
Something
Oh my
scary or spooky that has happened to us.
Okay.
I've got a lot to pick from.
That's a fun one. I like it. I wish we could do it by the fire.
I know it's kind of off season, but it's just fun.
Spooky season is whenever you want it to be. Elsa farted, and I need to get out of this
pretty
room.
spooky. All right. Well, thank you, listeners. Love
greasy
you.
butt farts.
Talk
Love
to
you.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye,
Get
y'all.
that guzzling.
Frankenstein was wondering if he should go to